One of the biggest draws to the hobby of airsoft is the idea of playing a real-life Call of Duty game with a replica of nearly anything you've seen before. Okay, we don't have a G11 yet, but you get what I'm saying. When I show outsiders what airsoft is, it's only a matter of time before they ask if there's an airsoft MP5 or an ACR, if there's any World War II replicas, or what kind of noob tubes there are. But with all that freedom comes one issue. A lot of the replicas that we might like kinda suck. Let's just face it, a lot of the guns that we love suck as airsoft replicas. Even if it's because of their expensive magazines or their terrible performance, or even because of their lackluster and brittle build construction, some of us still put up with them. We'll do whatever we can to make them work. So today I thought I'd make a small countdown over just 12 airsoft guns that we hate, that we love. I asked around on Instagram, on Facebook, and even on YouTube to get a few of the spots filled, and I'm ready to dive into this right after I shout out Airsoft GI for everything they do for the channel, like giving us our own coupon code to use on their website, and of course G&G Armament for being another big supporter. I really gotta thank them, just like RunCam, who sent me their newest scope cams with 4K capabilities, lighter constructions, a built-in mount, and longer lasting batteries. These are the newest cameras that you're bound to see a lot at your field, and it's probably the camera that you want to upgrade to so you can put together your own gameplay videos. So check out the links in the description to get yours today. You can expect to see more of these cameras here on the channel. And I've upgraded to a Sony A7C as well, so that would explain the 60 frames per second and the much higher definition in my newer videos. Shoutouts to the USAirsoft channel members for making that happen. Alright, so let's go over a really broad class of replicas that for some reason always get requested by viewers. Shell ejecting guns. It's obvious why people love these so much. That extra bit of realism gets to people. Seeing the shells just fly out of a Kar 98 by D-Boys or out of an old Maruzen shotgun is just so satisfying. And who can forget about the SOCOM Gear shell ejecting Barretts and Shytac intervention? These make for great replicas that you show off to friends, but honestly, that's all they're good for. Even with the best built shell ejecting replicas, performance is extremely low. Excluding airsoft launchers, these are for looks first, and for quality and performance, somewhere at around 5th or 6th. No one in their right minds who's not just trying to make an airsoft video for YouTube is using a shell ejecting pistol or sniper rifle seriously. No one is claiming 350-foot shots with something like a D-Boys Kar 98K. I'll admit that I once wanted one of these, but after thinking about how easily the shells would get lost and how expensive replacements would be, I put every shell ejecting replica in the collector's section in my mind. Even some revolvers can be found here, but I can make one of those more viable than a $1,700 wall hanger. I still want a Marusian M1 though. I'll be fine with adding one of those to my collection. Next up, I've got two personal picks that you might be able to relate to. Being honest, Tokyo Marui has a lot of similar replicas to these next two. What I mean is, I absolutely love my PSG-1 and my SPAS-12, but I'd be lying if I didn't see anything wrong in their build quality. Just listen to this. It's absolutely painful. I've had a lot of people freak out about these TMs, just to see their faces change to disappointment after they pick them up. They weigh nearly nothing because of their almost entirely thin plastic bodies, and unlike some other weightless classic airsoft guns, their performance is god-awful. The Tokyo Marui PSG-1 might be the first ever electric blowback gun, but that charm wears off fast. Loading the first round by charging it like the real thing is awesome, but I'm scared to break the charging handle or anything else inside it. I already know that if I break any internal parts, then it's instantly a wall hanger. The only way to rebuild it would be to either source some very incredibly rare parts or just HPA it. That will be the easiest route to go through. These are iconic replicas that have been around for a very long time, and I still put them up there as some of my favorite pieces in my collection. But I'm just saying this now. If we ever get a new full metal spring SPAS or a gas powered SPAS, or a new full metal PSG-1 AEG, then these will be dethroned in a heartbeat. Or if I can get my hands on one of those new VFC PSG-1 gas blowbacks, then I'll take the scope right off of my TM and add it onto that H&K. The further I go along, the more people I'm going to hurt with this list. So here goes nothing. I had a lot of people saying that this list needed the PTS Masada and the WE gas blowback AKs. Now, I've always thought the ACR/Masada platform was super underappreciated, and the full travel bolt on the WE AKs is super nice. But the PTS ACR is plagued with the terrible proprietary hop-up that breaks way too easily, and I've broken 3 WE AK trigger boxes by myself. This isn't on here just because of my own experiences though. The trigger packs in these AKs are known for being outright terrible, to the point that RA Tech steel trigger parts are almost always recommended to new owners over the web. This shouldn't be something that WE AK owners need to put up with. And for the Masada, well, you can either deal with the several fixes and mods you'll need to do to keep it shooting straight, or make an HPA conversion out of it. Let's just say I've seen a lot of ACRs that have been gutted out and completely rebuilt with HPA engines. More and more Masadas are going the HPA route, or just being sold off like the one I ended up with. And even though this one arrived with a working hop-up, it's starting to shoot terribly. They just look so good, and any Call of Duty nerd like me likes a good ACR, but the AAGs make the gas blowback version look so much better. But then the chest pain gets more intense because the KRISS Vector is on this list by popular demand, and I mean both the gas blowback KWA model and the more available Crytek model. I'll be honest by saying this, I love both of these vectors. The gas blowback version is honestly one of the most popular and coolest gas blowbacks ever made, and I really want a two-tone vector or the limited edition Alpine White version, but they've both got problems. You see, the KWA vector was given a pretty early death due to a licensing disagreement that actually led to the creation of Crytek, believe it or not. In a way, you can thank this SMG for that. But because of discontinuation and its instant popularity, these shot up in price exponentially, and that goes for their magazines as well. Finding one of these for $300 to $600 would be lucky on eBay, the Hop-Up app, in forums, and between fellow players. A gas blowback vector could fetch up anywhere from $700 to over $1,000 alone. Anyone who really wants one can get discouraged pretty quickly by prices like these. Then the AEG Crytek vector, although much easier to acquire for a reasonable price nearly anywhere Crytek is sold, faced some really harsh criticism on the first couple months of them being out, and they still do right now. The triggers are just really mushy in my opinion, and people didn't like the battery storage so much that these battery extension caps got really popular, and having to take one apart is dreadful, I'm told. When asking techs what replicas they hated to take apart the most, I was told M14s, the Elite Force MP7 AEG, and the Crytek Vector the most. You can argue that these are unique SMGs, so of course they're bound to have some downfalls, and I agree with you. Everything unique in our game has its share of faults, and that becomes very clear when talking about these very last airsoft guns on the list. Weight. It's a huge factor in the real world and on the airsoft field, and in the gym. It doesn't matter if it's just a 30-minute skirmish or a 2-day-long milsim. That doesn't mean I'm going to let that stop me from using something like my ICS 086 LSW or my LCT RPK, but that doesn't get my point across as much as this. This right here is the M240 Bravo, one of my favorite support weapons. You can put the M60 in this same spot or anything comparable to its weight and size, since, love it or hate it, an M249 can do the same job without all that extra weight. If you want to be really nitpicky, an M4 with a box mag can do the same job, but I'm talking about recognized support platforms. I love almost everything about the M240 that I'm getting soon, but did they really need to settle with a cardboard magazine? Thank God some 3D artists have put out their own files so you can replace them. In the grand scheme of things, the M240 is pretty pointless in our game. It's an awesome piece that a lot of people would give you a nod of approval for, but that's about it. The M249 is just much more dominant with its lesser weight, size, price tag, parts availability, and for its ease to acquire. But But damn it, I still want an M60 or a 1919 or an MG42. We work around the weight, and who couldn't use a little workout as they play? Any of the 6-barreled M134s might take that a little too far though. Those need to be on this list for sure. I've only seen one person use a hip-fired minigun, and he didn't even want to use it. The gun itself weighs about 40 pounds, but you need an HPA tank to run most of them, so that's extra weight. Reloads are annoying, and you'll go through your air tanks fast. Any maintenance can be costly and lengthy, so many factors make owning an M134 minigun a painful experience. And I haven't even talked about their relatively poor range compared to even a sub $200 budget M4. I still want one, but almost purely for the aesthetic and for all the show-off bonus points. Because you take one of these to any game and everyone is interested in it. It's like pulling up to a run-of-the-mill parking lot car meet in a Ferrari F40. Everyone's gonna love that you brought it out, but only you will know the troubles that you have to go through to keep it working. What I'd rather not put up with would be the picky magazine well of the G&G F2000. I love that bullpup though. Other longtime airsofters said they also hated the cost of PTWs, GBLSs, NPOs, but they love their build quality. LCT gets a lot of hate for their out-of-date internals, and I can be a witness to that. The ICS Galil came up surprisingly for its mid-caps and wobbly parts, and then G36s and M14s for all their internal problems. I didn't even get a brand name, just G36s and M14s in general. I'm told any experienced tech would understand why. Something anyone can understand would be our number one spot. It's not exactly a singular replica, but a collection of snipers. Number one goes to the WA2000, and the M200 Shytac Intervention, and the DSR-1, all by Aries. To a lot of people, these are some of the most beautiful, top-tier, have-to-get-one type of replicas. Maybe you even want one for your coffee table, for the man cave, to hang up in a glass case, or to take out once in a while to a field to just show off, but that's about all they're good for. To this day, only one video has ever been uploaded of anyone using an Aries WA2000 at an actual game, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. Besides their looks, that no one would want to affect with a fall, or with normal scratches and dings from traveling, their internals are not the strongest. Magazines can also have a lot of problems, like the really awkward WA2000 plunger and spring up front, or absurdly expensive like the DSR-1's nearly $100 gas magazines, or they can just be enormous, like the Shytacs. The bipods are known to be brittle, and if you ever break apart inside or out, you can forget about ever finding replacements. I would love to have any of these three, but I'd never want to run a Shytac due to its weight and its legendarily terrible range and accuracy. I wouldn't run a WA2000 unless I had a second one, so I could ding up that one with normal play. That way the other one could just stay in mint condition. And the DSR-1, well, it's probably the worst of all three of them. It's got the weight, 3-figure magazines, brittle parts everywhere, and all sorts of terrible quirks. If anyone made one of these into a solid performing replica, or if someone would just make an AG or a gas blowback out of a WA2000, then they would sell like hotcakes. VFC just made their gas blowback PSG-1, and those have been selling out quick. It took a long time to get another option if you ever wanted a PSG-1, and I think the WA2000 is about due for a redemption. But maybe I'm wrong, or maybe the people I asked what should be on this list are all idiots. Maybe something on this list is your all-time favorite. Just let me know in the comments, or recommend something that should have been on this list of airsoft guns that we hate, that we love. But if you like this list, then please hit that like button to show your appreciation. These videos can take a while to put together, so liking or sharing this video would really help me out. Or you can become a USAirsoft channel member like all these people that directly support the channel. All these people help me out with video ideas, just like the one you're watching right now that was recommended by Utmost Chipmunk. They also get to enjoy member-exclusive perks like getting to watch videos early, so maybe click that join button on the USAirsoft homepage if that sounds good to you. I definitely appreciate anyone that looks into this. I also appreciate Airsoft GI, G&G Armament, and of course, RunCam for sponsoring this countdown. But until that next video drops from the city of San Antonio, this has been Scott Hollenbeck, and I will be sure to see you all next time.